Imagine staring into a swaying sorghum field at pitch black night, realizing the 10-foot-tall scarecrow you built earlier that day is missing, and instead, a massive shadow is moving through the dark, hunting you. Just hours before, this 15-year-old boy lived a completely mundane life. He lived on an isolated farm with his father, spending his quiet afternoons playing in the dirt with his two best friends, Rajiv and Bhaga. To pass the time, the three boys were digging a hole in barren ground. They dug deep, right up to their waists, until their hands scraped against a decaying wooden chest, bound by ancient rotting strings. They snapped the brittle strings and pried off the lock. Inside, they found shredded clothes stiff with dried blood, a long rusted knife, and a horrific horned mask with elongated fangs. Driven by innocent childhood curiosity, the boys used these terrifying props to build a giant scarecrow, or 𝗕𝗂𝗶𝗹𝗁, for their crops. Without knowing it, they had manually armed an ancient, dormant, occult trap. The atmosphere shifted the moment the sun went down. From the pitch-black fields, the boy heard the panicked, terrified screaming of birds, sounding as if they were being slaughtered mid-air. His dog, 𝗦𝗁, sprinted into the rustling crops, barking loudly to investigate. After a few moments, the bark stopped. 𝗦𝗁 went completely silent, and he never came back. The next morning revealed total carnage. Every standard scarecrow across the entire farm had been violently snapped in half and dismantled. In the dirt nearby, the boy found 𝗦𝗁's body, brutally disemboweled. A terrifying realization dawned on him. When he checked the spot where they had erected their massive, demon-masked 𝗕𝗂𝗶𝗁, the pole was completely empty. An active, malevolent predator was now loose on the farm. That night, the boy finally saw it. The 10-foot scarecrow was walking through the fields with an unnatural, terrifying stride. He watched it effortlessly rip a massive farm buffalo entirely in half. Hearing the commotion, the boy's father rushed out with his hunting rifle. He fired directly into the monster's chest and head, but mortal weapons had absolutely no effect. The bullets simply did nothing. The invincible monster charged, overpowering the father in seconds. The scarecrow unhinged its jaw and violently bit the man's head off, forcing the boy to sprint away in sheer terror. He ran desperately through the dark to his friend Bhaga's house, seeking help. He arrived to find Bhaga and his parents already slaughtered. Their mutilated bodies hung limply from the roof like human scarecrows. The monster was already there, cornering the boy and lifting him by the throat. Right before it struck, Rajiv's father arrived with a shotgun, blasting the entity just long enough to stagger it so they could escape into the fields. The gruesome display at Bhaga's house proved something chilling. The entity acted with calculated human malice, deliberately mocking its victims rather than feeding purely on feral instinct. The boy and Rajiv's father spent the rest of the night hiding silently in the crops, waiting for the sun to rise. There, the man finally explained the monster's true identity. 30 years ago, a madman named 𝗕𝗂𝗶𝗶𝗏 terrorized the village. He committed a string of gruesome, ritualistic murders on moonless-mites, shedding blood to appease a dark, demonic force. The desperate villagers eventually banded together in secret. They ambushed 𝗕𝗂𝗶𝗏 in the middle of a ritual, dragged him out, and brutally beat him to death to end the killings. The local priest understood that 𝗕𝗂𝗏's power was tied to his ritual tools. He bound the madman's soul to the mask, the clothes, and the knife, sealing them inside a wooden chest. By unearthing the chest and dressing the scarecrow in those items, they bypassed the spell. They gave 𝗕𝗂𝗏's dark soul a massive, indestructible physical vessel. To fix this, the survivors tracked down the original, now elderly priest. He devised a highly specific magical trap that had to be executed at twilight, the narrow window when supernatural entities are at their weakest. First, human blood creates an enchanted boundary that snaps shut behind the entity. The priest pilots a corpse inside as bait, draining the monster's energy. Rajiv's father then severs the scarecrow with an axe, forcing the vulnerable soul into the corpse, which is immediately buried. Conventional weapons are useless against a bound soul. If they couldn't kill the vessel, they had to use these ancient rites to forcibly strip the soul from the straw and lock it into flesh once again. The execution of the plan descended into pure chaos. They successfully lured the scarecrow into the circle, but the entity was too strong. It grabbed Rajiv's father, violently dismembering him before he could complete his part of the plan. As the boy waited for the priest to finish the ritual, the old man suddenly lunged. He wasn't reaching for the monster. He slammed the boy down, pinning him into the dirt. The priest had his own agenda. He secretly made a deal with 𝗕𝗂𝗏 to learn the spell of soul transference. The priest intended to steal the boy's young body to escape his own old age, and in exchange, he would let the demon go free. Right as the priest raised his whip to strike, the spell fractured. The corpse of Rajiv's father, now possessed by the demon, unexpectedly rose up and decapitated the treacherous priest, giving the boy a brief, desperate window to escape. The physical remains of the scarecrow were buried, but the ritual had already done its work. The priest's betrayal provided the demon a human host, allowing 𝗕𝗂𝗏𝗏's soul to walk out of the fields and back into the world of men.